Hello, welcome to another My Life in Objects video. So this is an interesting episode because here I'm using the objects more like a totem to represent a wider concept, and that's the concept of the local library. I love libraries. I love books, so I love libraries. Sadly, I don't go to the library as much as I could do, and that's no particular reason apart from every so often when I do visit the library and I'm there with my wife, I say I should come here more often, which she replies, yes you should, because my wife is actually a librarian, a career librarian. She's been a librarian since she graduated way back. So yeah, when I was growing up, I always visited the library in the local town. I lived down in a little village in Sussex, and the local town was a place called East Grinstead, and they had a very well stocked, well resourced library. And of course, back then that would have been when I first went into that library, it would have been cassettes you could take out as well as books. And I would always be in there on Saturday morning, pouring through the computer section, and that first section, I loved the first sort of the zeros onwards up to about hundreds, 200s. That area I tended to sort of gravitate round, and and then in I would occasionally I would occasionally take out the odd fiction book, but I'm a real fan of non-fiction. I've always read more non-fiction than I have fiction. And so I suppose this video I'm just promoting the use of libraries. And again, I should really visit our local one more than I do. It's literally, I was over there today actually, just because one of the things is now, of course, you can do so many more things now in a library than you could do before. But one of the great things is I was over there today picking up some printouts which I'd emailed to my to the printer there, and I was able to then log in and release them in the library. And you get, with the Halifax library service, you get $5 free credits in printing a month, which I never use. It doesn't go over. It's just $5 a month credit, and I was able to print off some nice colour copies of some certificates for a course I've been doing. So I was over again. But last week I was picking up a couple of books, and I'm going to flick through these as I'm just chatting about libraries generally. So let's just go through this because I think they're really super interesting book. This is really good, A Brief History of Artificial Intelligence. So this actually came out in 2020, and so of course there's been a lot happened in the last 2 years, but I was looking for a book that really tied together a few loose ends, a few questions I had. I know quite a lot about the history of AI simply because I've sort of stepped on the AI train at certain points in my career and then sort of stepped off again. I was involved in decision support systems in the 80s in terms of like just writing ones to evaluate whether a certain product could be made when I worked in a lab that was attached to a factory. And then again, when I sort of had to lecture a little bit about management information systems in the, I suppose, late 90s or 2000s, and also working on some management information systems as well, the idea of decision support systems came up again. And then probably in the 2010s, I started to study data science, stuff like that. And so of course got really interested in artificial intelligence. And if you watch the channel, I've been experimenting with Bing Chat. So and actually the other thing is I did an interesting course with the Open University in the 90s on a design system for knowledge. I think they were calling it knowledge engineering then. Intelligent. I just got it down on the floor. Actually, it's this thing, which I'm going to do a episode on intelligent systems analysis and design. I think this thing was called CADS or something. Yeah, that's part of mine. I did my postgrad. I'll do a separate episode on that. So yeah, I wanted a book that was just going to tie this all together, and this is really good. Does a really good job about that. So it starts off with Turing. So it starts off way back in the 50s, and then goes through and very succinctly tells the story of AI up to, you know, I suppose the 2010s, the 2020s, and goes through with all the key things. So if you're looking for a book that gives you an interesting summarized timeline, then this is a great book for that. I know there's a really cool timeline at the start of Artificial Intelligence and Modern Approach, which I think is the go-to textbook at universities, and it's in, I think, the first chapter or so. There's like this history, but I found this a really nice alternative to that, simply because it just reads real nice. It's really well written. The guy writing it is let me hang on. I'll explain in a moment. But I just want to flick through here. So yeah, there's bits on neurons and neural networks and various other things. Lots of key. He mentions things like the AlexNet as well. So if you've got like a passing understanding of the history of AI, and like me, you want to fill in the bits, you do tend to recognize certain names here, certain things, certain systems, key figures in the development of AI, and it's nice to see it just as this, laid out as a story like this. Very, very well done. So I'm actually gonna, the reason why I stopped saying who the book's by, I'm gonna wait and get to the biog so I don't say something silly and get misunderstanding about who he is. So it's, Professor Walderidge. So I wanted to avoid mangling his name. And he is I keep wanting to call him a lecturer, but that's not, I don't think that's the term they use at Oxford University. He has let's just excuse me, my brain is really oh, there we go. There's the biog. Yeah, I've had a busy week this week. I've just been finishing a course off, and I'm sort of on that post-course sort of come down. So my brain's sort of going 90 to the dozen in a completely different domain, even though it's in computer science. And so you have to excuse me if I'm particularly absent-minded in this video. But I just wanted to share this. Yeah, Michael Woolridge is a professor of computer science and head of the Department of Computer Science at the University of Oxford. He has been at the heart of the AI community for more than a quarter of a century. Since earning his PhD in AI, he has published more than 400 scientific articles on the subject. He is a fellow of both the Association for Advancements of AI and the European Association of AI. He has a long track record of public speaking and science communication on AI matters and related topics. He lives in Oxford with his family. So the only real connection I have with Oxford is I'm a member of their Philosophical Society, which, funnily enough, I joined sometime after I took one of their online courses in the philosophy of mind, which is also really good. So I that's part of, I suppose, my big interest in AI is both in terms of the computer side of things, but also other aspects. And there's a really nice thing at the start of this book where he talks about what AI is and isn't, but then it talks about his own fascination with the subject, which is interesting enough. The reason why I became interested in AI, and that's because when he gets onto the last bit, he says, "I love AI because it's the most endlessly fascinating subject I know of. It draws upon and contributes to an astonishing range of disciplines, including philosophy, psychology, cognitive science, neuroscience, logic, statistics, economics, and robotics." And that's why I also like it. Same reason. So it's nice to be on the same page as the author. And now you can do all sorts of things at libraries. There's some libraries where you can play Magic the Gathering. I know several years ago I donated a whole load of Magic cards to the local library, a couple of dual decks and a deck builder's toolkit and a few other bits and bobs. And like I said, print stuff out there. Of course, now you can get DVDs, which are still kicking around, and CDs, and sit over there and read magazines, and even take out magazines as well, which is great. And of course, the other thing you can do here in Canada, and I don't know if it's the same with other viewers, is there's a lot of resources online. So our library system here has like free LinkedIn Learning access, so I can log in with my library card and do just various LinkedIn Learning courses for free, which is really, I've done loads over the years, and they're really cool. And then of course there's the whole Libby thing and the other couple of things as well. There's a couple more services which you can log in with a library card and get access to books and films to stream and various other things. So yeah, libraries are awesome. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.